All right, so I want to start with a question that I know a lot of you are asking yourselves right now, especially if you're in your 30s or 40s. Do you actually need a financial advisor? And I'm not asking this as a trick question. I'm asking because I genuinely think there's a lot of confusion around whether hiring someone to manage your money is actually worth it, or if you're already doing fine on your own. Because here's the reality. If you live in Alberta, you're probably dealing with some unique challenges. You're dealing with a mortgage that's bigger than you expected it to be. You're dealing with vehicle payments that feel insane. You're trying to figure out daycare costs. And every time you turn on the news or check Reddit, someone's talking about investing in something you don't understand. So let's cut through all the noise and figure this out together. Let's talk about what your 30s and 40s actually look like here in Alberta, because they're different than everywhere else. First, your mortgage is bigger than you thought it would be. You did the math before you bought the house. You looked at the numbers, you qualified, but then you realized, oh, this 25-year amortization means I'm basically paying for this house twice. And that's just the mortgage. Then there's property tax, insurance, maintenance. A lot of people I talk to say, I didn't realize how much of my income this would actually take up. Second, if you work in the energy sector or any industry with variable income, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 1 year, you're up 40%. Bonuses are great. Life is good. The next year, down 30%. Suddenly, you're tightening the belt. It's hard to plan for your financial future when your income is on a roller coaster. Third, daycare costs are absolutely brutal. Some of you are paying more for daycare than you're paying for your mortgage. Think about that for a second. You're working partly just to pay for childcare while you work. And then, on top of all of this, everyone around you suddenly starts talking about RRSPs, TFSAs, rental properties, investing in crypto, buying ETFs, reading about index funds on Reddit. It's information overload. Here's what I see happening. Half your friend group is buying ETFs and talking about passive investing and long-term strategies. The other half is buying quads and talking about real estate returns and leverage. And you're just sitting there thinking, which group am I supposed to be in? Am I doing this wrong? The answer is you're probably doing fine, but nobody knows it. So let's talk about when you actually don't need a financial advisor. Because honestly, if you fit this description, you can probably save yourself some money. You probably don't need an advisor if you have stable income. I'm not talking about high income. I'm talking about predictable income. You know roughly what you're going to make next year. That stability is actually really valuable because it means you can plan. You're already investing regularly. Maybe it's just $200 a month. Maybe it's $500 a month. But you're consistent. You're not waiting for the perfect moment. You're not timing the market. You're just doing it every month. You're using ETFs or robo-advisors, and you understand the basics. You get the idea that diversification is important. You know that trying to pick individual stocks is usually a losing game. You're not trying to beat the market. You're just trying to match it at a low cost. And here's the big one. When the market drops 15%, you don't panic. Your portfolio drops $10,000 in value, and you don't immediately call someone to sell everything. You just let it ride because you know markets recover. If that's you, if you fit all of those things, you're probably doing fine. You honestly don't need to pay 1% of your assets every year or $2,000 a year to have someone tell you to stay the course because you're already staying the course. Here's the thing people don't understand. Consistency matters way more than perfection. Most people aren't failing because they picked the wrong investment. They're failing because they panic sold at the wrong time, or they never started in the first place, or they waited for the perfect moment that never came. If you can just be consistent, you're already winning. Let me give you a real example of someone I know. There's a 34-year-old guy in Edmonton. Could be your neighbor, could be your coworker. He has a steady union job. Nothing flashy. It's not going to make him rich, but it's reliable. He gets a paycheck every 2 weeks, and he knows what it's going to be. Every month, he takes some of that paycheck, maybe $300, maybe $400, and he puts it into his TFSA. He's not trying to maximize it. He's just doing it consistently. He uses Wealth Simple because it's simple, and it's cheap. He's not paying 1.5% in fees. He's paying 0.5% or less. So his money is actually working for him, not for a financial advisor. And here's the important part. When TikTok is freaking out about the stock market crashing, when the news is talking about recession, when everyone on Reddit is panicking, this guy just ignores it. He scrolls past it. He doesn't check his account balance every day. He just keeps contributing. Now, is he going to retire at 40 and travel the world? Probably not. Will he be financially stable? Absolutely. He's probably ahead of 80% of his peers in Alberta. And he did it without a Bay Street advisor. He did it without paying thousands in fees. He just did the boring thing consistently. That's the story a lot of people don't want to hear because it's not exciting. It's not get rich quick. It's just pick something reasonable, automate it, and don't panic when markets move. And somehow that actually works. But here's the flip side. Life does get complicated fast. And there are situations where an advisor actually makes sense. Let's say you just got a big raise, like a real raise, 30%, 40% more than you were making. Suddenly you have money, real money, but no idea what to do with it. Do you pay down debt? Do you invest it? Do you buy a second property? The tax implications change. Your whole financial picture changes. In that situation, paying someone $2,000 to help you make a good decision might be the best money you ever spend. Or you own your own business. Now your taxes are complicated. You have business expenses, you have corporate structure decisions. You might have an accountant, but you need someone who understands investing and your business situation. Or you work in oil and gas and you have stock options, RSUs, and bonuses that come in weird patterns. You have to decide when to exercise options, how to diversify company stock, whether to sell or hold. That's legitimately complicated. Or you inherited money from a parent, maybe a significant amount. Now you have to figure out the tax implications, what to do with it, how to integrate it into your overall plan. Or you got divorced and you're restructuring your entire financial life from scratch. In all of those situations, the complexity actually justifies paying for professional help because the cost of making a mistake is way higher than the cost of paying an advisor. Here's the real insight. It's not about your age. It's about complexity. A 25-year-old with a complicated financial situation might need an advisor. A 55-year-old with a simple situation probably doesn't. And here's the second insight. Consistency actually matters way more than being smart. Most people aren't failing because they're making the wrong investment choices. They're failing because they panic sell or they never start in the first place. Here's what people don't talk about, and this is actually really important. Financial advisors aren't just about picking the right investments. A good advisor helps you stop panic selling. When your portfolio drops 15%, you're freaking out. You're thinking about selling everything. A good advisor talks you off that ledge and reminds you that this is normal. They help you avoid emotional decisions. You want to put your whole portfolio into some hot stock your coworker told you about? A good advisor says, actually, let's think about this. They keep you consistent during downturns. Markets are down 20%. The news is saying everything is falling apart. Your advisor is saying, keep investing. This is when you want to be buying. They build you an actual long-term plan, not just picking stocks, but figuring out your whole financial picture, insurance, taxes, retirement, all of it. Sometimes the value of an advisor isn't in picking better stocks. It's literally in keeping you from destroying your portfolio during a market crash because you panicked. That emotional coaching, that behavioral coaching, that's real value. That's why some people actually benefit from paying for an advisor. Here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize. It's not just DIY or expensive advisor. There's a whole middle ground. You could hire someone for a one-time comprehensive financial plan. You pay them $1,500, $2,000, maybe $2,500. They build you a comprehensive plan. Then you pay them nothing else. You follow the plan for the next 5 years. That's a one-time investment. You could get hourly financial advice instead of annual percentage fees. You pay them when you have a question. You don't pay them when you don't. That's different from the traditional model, where they're getting 1% of your assets every single year. You could use a robo-advisor that charges 0.5% instead of 1.5%. That's a third of the cost of a traditional advisor. And honestly, you're probably getting 90% of the value. You might already have an employer retirement program that includes financial coaching. Check your benefits. You might already have access to this. There are free educational tools. Some are genuinely good. YouTube, podcasts, books, there's a lot of quality free information out there. The key message here, you can absolutely get professional guidance without paying thousands and thousands of dollars every year. You just have to think about what you actually need and pick the right option for your situation. Let me tell you the biggest mistakes I see Alberta millennials making with their money. First, lifestyle creep after raises. You get a 5% raise at work. That's awesome. But then suddenly your lifestyle expands by 5% too. You're eating out more, you're upgrading your car, your rent goes up, and you're still broke at the end of the month. You were supposed to be saving that raise. Instead, you just spent it. Second, buying way too much house. Just because you can qualify for a $600,000 mortgage doesn't mean you should get a $600,000 house. A lot of people buy the biggest house they can afford, and then they're house poor. They can't invest, they can't save, they can't handle emergencies. Third, truck payments that are bigger than you're investing. I see this constantly. Someone will tell me they can't afford to invest $200 a month in a TFSA, but they're making $800 truck payments. The priorities are backwards. Fourth, waiting until later to start. I'll start investing when I'm 35. I'll start saving when I pay off my student loans. Time is the one thing you cannot buy back. Starting at 25 with nothing beats starting at 40 with money almost every time. Fifth, panic selling during downturns. Everyone does this at least once. The market drops 10%. The news is doom and gloom. You freak out and sell everything at the worst possible time. Then the market recovers and you're kicking yourself. Here's the thing. Your bonus doesn't need a lift kit. If you get a $5,000 bonus, that doesn't mean you need to spend it all upgrading your truck. That's money you could invest. That's money that could compound over 20 years. Be intentional about your money. Most people just let it happen to them.
If you do decide to hire a financial advisor, you need to ask some important questions up front, because not all advisors are equal. First, how are you paid? Do you get a salary? Do you earn commissions? Do you charge a flat fee? This matters because it affects their incentives. Second, are you fee only, or do you also earn commissions by selling products? Because if you're earning commissions, that's a conflict of interest. You might be recommending products that are good for you, not good for the client. Third, what credentials do you actually have? CFP, CFA, or did you just take a weekend course? There's a difference. Fourth, do you sell mutual funds or other investment products? Because if you do, you're probably also earning commissions on those. Fifth, what exactly do you help with? Just investing, or do you help with taxes, insurance, retirement planning, all of it? These questions matter because they help you understand if this person is actually working in your best interest or if they're just trying to make a commission. Not all advisors are equal. Some are genuinely great. Some are just salespeople with a fancy title. Do your homework before you hire someone. Here's what I want you to take away from all of this. The goal is not to look rich. The goal is to be stable. It's to sleep well at night. It's to not panic every time you check your account or the news talks about the economy. If you can invest consistently, even if it's small amounts, if you can avoid making emotional decisions with your money, if you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it, and if you ask for help when things get genuinely complicated, then you're already ahead of most people. Financial confidence isn't about knowing everything. It's not about being an investing expert. It's not about picking the best stocks. It's about making fewer panic decisions. So here's my advice. Figure out if you actually need an advisor. Maybe you don't, but do you need a plan? Yeah, absolutely. You need some kind of plan. Start there. Get clear on what you want to accomplish. Build a simple plan, then just stick to it. That's it. That's how you win with money.